Namaste, and welcome to today's morning gentle yoga flow. We'll begin today's class in our relaxation pose, laying on our backs. Finding ourselves either with legs extended or with the knees knocked together. Palms facing up towards the sky. Finding our breath for the beginning of this morning practice. And beginning to slowly wake up the body as we work through the series today. Finding our yoga breath, our whisper breath, also called the Ujjayi breath, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Taking notice of the sensations in our body at the beginning of the day. And checking in every now and again as we practice over the next little while. On the inhale, let's lift the arms up and exhaling, reaching all the way back, bringing the tops of the hands down to the ground. On the inhale, up, exhaling down. Beginning by gently warming up the shoulders, inhaling up, exhaling back. Exhaling, inhaling up, exhaling down. Going at our own pace, let's do this 5 to 10 times. This is a good time to just perhaps keep the eyes closed. Notice how you're feeling. And maybe determine what you need from this morning's practice. Do we need to speed it up again a bit to bring us a little bit of energy, or do we need to very gradually move ourselves into the practice? Bringing our palms back to the ground, soles of the feet to the ground. We're hip width apart, preparing for a bridge flow. Knees directly underneath our ankles. On the inhale, lifting up through the hips, working the inner thighs towards each other. Pressing through the earth with the feet and the palms. On our next exhale, coming down, tailbone to the ground. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling as we come down. Very gently beginning to let go of any tension that we have in our backs. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling as we come down. Smiling as we rise on the inhale. Exhaling, keeping that smile on our face. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling down. Let's bring knees to chest, grabbing behind the knees. Bringing the knees to the outer part of the body, gently rocking side to side. If it's available to us, we keep the tailbone to the ground and our shoulder blades to the ground. Transitioning back into another bridge flow, soles of the feet to the ground, palms to the ground, inhaling, hips up, letting go of any tension from the glutes and lower back, inner thighs work towards each other. On our next exhale, let's come down. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling as we come down. Taking care in today's practice to let go of any expectations we may have of ourselves on the mat, or maybe even of our day that we have coming up. Releasing any judgments, and if anything, letting go of any competition that we may have in our practice. Let's leave that for other parts of our lives. On the exhale, tailbone back to the ground, knees to chest one more time, gently rocking side to side if we choose to do that. Soles of the feet to the ground, bringing ourselves to all fours, so pushing ourselves to one side, and then bringing ourselves to all fours, facing the front of our mat, preparing for our cat-cow flow. Wrists stacked under the elbows and shoulders, shoulder width apart, knees are bone hip width apart, taking a deep inhale here. Exhaling, tucking tailbone under, low, rounding the spine towards the ceiling. Last thing to drop is the chin to the chest. On our next inhale, let's reverse that tailbone first. We soften the belly to the earth. Our shoulders are back and down. We open up the heart and we gaze up to where the wall meets the ceiling. And now I invite you to flow at your own pace, one breath per movement. As we come into cat, we always exhale. And for cow, we inhale. And no worries if you have it the other way around. There's no need to get stressed out at this point of the day over something like that. Making sure as we're flowing through cat-cow to go with where our body wants us to, not over-exaggerating the pose in one direction or the other. We're aiming for functional movement. Coming back to neutral spine. Coming into our spinal balance flow. Let's work on a little bit of strength and balance today. Toes back with the right foot. On the inhale, lifting up the heel so that it's at glute level, reaching out with the opposite fingertips, palm facing in. And let's retract that shoulder back and down. Holding here for 3 breaths or so. Holding for strength. Engaging that core center, bringing the belly button in towards our spine. Hips are squared to our mat on the exhale, coming down. Other side, left toes back, lifting up through the heel. Let's point those toes in towards the shin. Lifting up through the right arm this time, palm facing in. One more breath here. Exhaling, coming down. Let's flow about 5 times each side. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling down. Inhaling as we rise on the other side. Exhaling down. Flowing at our own pace. With the 1 breath per movement, the deeper we breathe, the slower we'll go. And practicing that deep breathing is extremely beneficial for our health. If we're working on our balance, we can simply go with our legs and then with the arms, and eventually working our way to having 1 leg, 1 arm up at the same time. Coming to all fours, pushing to child's pose, bringing the glutes down towards the heels, extending the arms out, forehead to the ground, or stacking the fists, and bringing the forehead onto the fists. Taking a few breaths here. Checking in with ourselves. Reminding ourselves that as we practice today, to simply let go, go with the flow, and engage in every single moment, not worrying about what happened or what's to come. Moving through our modified half series, let's engage those hands into the mat in front of us. On the inhale, shifting forward, kneeling plank. Exhaling halfway down for our crocodile. Inhaling as we come up. Exhaling back to child's pose. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhaling, crocodile. Inhaling up, exhaling back. Flowing about 2 more times here. As we come into our crocodile, lowering halfway, no worries. If you're just coming down 1/4 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch, that's perfectly perfect for you. Always taking care as we're coming into crocodile, the tops of the arms in line with the side of the body, no further down than that. Coming back to our child's pose for everybody. Moving into a forward fold, let's step forward with one foot and then the next. Coming to the top of our mats, deep bend in our knees here. We're just starting out the day. Those hamstrings are still pretty tight. Let's grab opposite elbows with our hands. Keeping that bend in the knee, we can gently rock side to side. Planting fingertips to the ground one more time. Very deep bend in the knees, reverse swan dive, coming into exalted mountain, sweeping the arms out to our sides and all the way up, exalted mountain, palms together. On the exhale, hands to our heart and then our side for mountain pose. Beginning to feel a little bit of heat in our bodies now, waking up to the day, and it's going to be a perfect day. Taking our right foot, let's step to the long edge of our mat, toes out, heels in. Taking as wide a stance as we can so that we can comfortably sink down into our seat. Beginning with our goddess flow, placing the palms facing forward, goal posting the arms, shoulders back and down. On the inhale, bringing fingertips together. Exhaling, let's bring the elbows into our sides, sinking down into our seat, palms back. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, sinking down. Let's really bring those elbows to our sides. Inhaling up. Exhaling, sinking down. Moving through about 5 to 10 of these. Finding that powerful Ujjayi whisper breath. Next time the palms are up, let's leave them there, coming into sun pose. Arms out to either side, palms facing up, bringing shoulders back and down. Opening up our heart to what is coming to us today. Continuing to flow here, warming up the large body parts. On the inhale, let's reach up, press palms together, flowing through our sunflowers, hinging from the hips, swooping the arms, sinking down into our seats, long spine. We scoop up those sunflowers. On the inhale, let's reverse, bringing the arms first, heart, belly button, hinging from the hips all the way up. As we inhale, exhaling back down. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling, coming down. Inhaling as we rise. Greeting that sun. Inhaling. And even if we're practicing inside, just bringing that sun into our heart. And one more. Exhaling down. Inhaling as we rise. As we come up on the exhale, let's bring the hands to our heart and then hands to our hips, stepping up to the top of our mats. Feeling nice and warm now. I invite you to keep standing facing the front edge of your mat. I'll position myself so that you can see me.
standing hip width apart, moving into some side lateral stretches, and then a flow to go along with it. On the inhale, let's bring the arms all the way up. For an exalted mountain, bringing those shoulders back and down. Taking an inhale. On the exhale, dropping the left hand, reaching up with the right, and then creating that tilt over with our spine. Actively reaching down with these fingertips. If it's comfortable for our necks, we can gaze up at the top hand, holding here, breathing deep into those side ribs. On the inhale, bringing the left hand up to meet the right. On the exhale, let's bring the right hand down. On the inhale, reaching up with the left hand, and then coming over for our side lateral stretch. Again, gazing up at the top hand if we want. Otherwise, gazing just out front or down. Let's remember this bottom hand, it's not just hanging out here. We're actively reaching down. On the inhale, let's bring the arms up to meet. And this time we'll flow, exhaling down, inhaling up and over. Inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up and over. Flowing at our own pace, making this work for our body. Taking care that before we do that side lateral stretch, we're actively reaching up through the ribs, lifting up through the heart and the spine. And then tilting over. And one more. And having everyone meet up with the hands up at the top, palms together, exhaling hands to the heart and then to our side, back to mountain pose at the top of our mats. Flowing into a nice chest expansion. Let's reach behind the back as if we were holding on to that large beach ball. Pressing the shoulders back and down. Slight bend in our knees, pushing the hands towards each other. Feeling a nice deep stretch in between the shoulders and in our pectorals, our chest area. Gazing just slightly in front of us, filling up the lungs, filling up the belly with our air. And then exhaling as much as we can. We may choose to stay here, or we can interlace the fingers. Always the option to use a nice strap here if we're working towards getting those hands together. Hinging from the hips, bringing the belly towards the quads, pointing the knuckles up to where the wall meets the ceiling. Slightly gazing forward, long spine. Still pushing those shoulders back and down so that we feel that stretch in the shoulders, in the pectorals. On the exhale, if we've chosen the class, let's release, bring fingertips to the floor. We'll have everyone meet in mountain pose, inhaling, reverse swan dive all the way up. Hands to our sides. Moving through a chair flow, inhaling, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, sitting into chair. Sinking down as far as comfortable as we can. So we might be sitting way up here or coming down, keeping our knees in line with the big toe and just above or behind the toes. Hands can be just way up, just in front, or on our quads, whatever works best for us. On the inhale, coming up. Exalted mountain, exhaling back into chair. Let's flow through about 5 of these. Inhaling up. Exhaling, squatting into our chair. Inhaling as we rise. And flowing for 2 more. As we flow through chair, keeping a long spine, and we want our heart up nice and tall. And moving up, exalted mountain, exhaling, coming into mountain. Moving through a basic warrior flow, stepping back with the right foot, coming into a warrior stance, choosing to take a wide stance if we wish for comfort, lunging through the front leg, twisting the hips towards the mat, lifting up through our rib cage. On the inhale, bringing arms up to the sky, pinkies in, shoulders back and down. Taking an inhale, let's lift slightly. Exhaling, settling into the pose. Doing that one more time. Inhaling, lifting slightly. Exhaling, settling into the pose even deeper. Flowing into warrior two. On the inhale, let's lift slightly, opening up our heart, arms out to our sides, adjusting the back foot for comfort. Lunging into that front leg one more time, extending the arms out, shoulders back and down. Let's keep this pelvis area in line with the head, long line. Inhale, let's lift slightly. Exhaling, sinking down. Back heel is to opposite corner of the mat. Front toes are facing to the short edge of the mat. Let's bring the hands to the hips, straighten the leg, step up to the top of our mats, back to mountain pose. Flowing through mountain on the other side. Left foot back this time, back heel, opposite corner of the mat. Let's lunge through that front leg. Twisting the hips towards the front of the mat. On the inhale, let's rise, arms up towards the sky, shoulders back and down. Pressing the mat apart with our feet, pressing with the outer side of the back foot, pressing forward through the ball of the foot and toes of the front foot. On the inhale, let's lift slightly. Exhaling, twisting and sinking into the pose. Moving to warrior two. On the inhale, lifting, exhaling, opening up the heart, adjusting the back foot for comfort. Finding our warrior two. Checking our alignment. Inhaling, perhaps lifting, exhaling, flowing into the pose. On the next exhale, hands to hips, stepping up to the top of our mat, getting ready for our balancing pose for today, tree pose. Reminding ourselves that sometimes early in the day, our balance is not quite as great as it would be later in the evening, so perhaps using a wall or a chair if we need to at this point. Finding ourselves in mountain pose, taking the right toes, pointing them out, bringing the sole of the foot to our ankle, and bringing we can stay here, that's perfectly fine. We can bring the sole of the foot to the shin, and always avoiding the knee. We can also bring the foot up higher, grabbing onto the right shin, bringing the foot to the inner thigh. Pressing leg into foot, foot into leg. Hands can come to prayer. For the most balance, other than holding onto a wall or chair, we can goalpost the arms, or we can bring the arms up into tree branches. Finding that focal point in front of us to focus on will also help with the balance. So that can be just in front of us on the floor, perhaps on the ceiling. Wherever we are, let's come out of the pose, letting go, shaking it out. Back to mountain pose. Left toes out this time, bringing ourselves into our perfect pose. So your perfect pose is different than my perfect pose. Yoga is all about making the practice our own, not someone else's. I'm here as your guide only. Finding ourselves in our favorite spot with our arms and our leg. Wherever our foot is, we press the foot into the leg, leg into the foot, creating stability. A reminder again to not press the foot into the knee. We want to protect those knee joints so that we can practice as long as we possibly can. Hopefully for the rest of our lives. On our next exhale, let's bring the foot down, shake it out, bringing arms down, stepping up for mountain pose. On the inhale, arms up to the sky, making our way down to the floor, forward fold, deep bend in our knees. Coming on to all fours, pushing ourselves back for child's pose. Shifting forward onto all fours, working our way through spinal balance one more time, perhaps finding a little bit more speed this time, or now that we've worked through most of our practice, we may have a bit more strength or perhaps a little bit more balance. But just finding ourselves wherever we are. So being patient with ourselves and accepting the moment that we're in. Let's point the right toes back, lifting up through the heel, reaching out, opposite fingertips. We're going to flow right away this time, exhaling down. Inhaling up on the other side. Exhaling down. Taking care to go at your own pace. And we'll go through about 5 to 10 breaths here. Bringing ourselves back to all fours, flowing through our cat-cow flow again, checking our alignment on the inhale. Exhaling for cat, tailbone under, back towards the sky, vertebrae by vertebrae. And the last thing to drop is our chin to the chest on the inhale for cow, tailbone first. Let's soften that belly towards the earth. Shoulders back and down as we gaze up, flowing. 5 to 10 breaths. Noticing the difference in your spine, what it felt like when you first laid down on the mat this morning compared to what it feels like now. And simply taking notice, not judging our bodies. And next time we have a neutral spine, let's stay there, scooching our legs under, coming to a seated position, preparing for butterfly pose. Bringing the soles of our feet together. If we have tight hips, which we probably often do early in the morning, we can sit on a pillow, a block, or some blankets. And that will allow the knees to drop down a little bit more comfortably, giving you that option if you need to. Placing the hands either to the feet, the ankles, or the shins. Using this time in butterfly, first of all, as an active butterfly. So on the inhale, let's lift the knees up slightly. On the exhale, letting go. Inhaling, bringing the knees up slightly. Exhaling, releasing the tension from the glutes, from the hip flexors, from the inner thighs. Inhaling, knees up. Exhaling down. This time staying here. Closing the eyes. Sitting tall. Taking a few more breaths. Bringing the knees towards each other. Coming back onto our seats, removing the block, blankets, or pillow if we've chosen to use one. And facing the front of our mat, placing soles of the feet to the ground with the ankles almost directly underneath our knees. We're bone hip width apart with our knees. Let's place the arms behind us, fingertips facing forward with the hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Getting ready for our reverse tabletop here. We're pressing through that mat with our hands and our feet, and on the inhale, lifting up through that tailbone, lifting up through the hips, creating that reverse table motion, picturing yourself the opposite of what you look like when you first begin cat-cow. Letting the head drop if that's comfortable, otherwise we can continue to gaze forward. On the exhale, coming down. Placing yourselves in staff pose, legs extended, toes towards the shin. Sitting on our sitting bones, reaching out through the crown of our head, lifting up through the rib cage. Placing the left sole of the foot to the ground, bringing the sole of the foot in line with the right knee. Seated spinal twist on the inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, twisting, starting from the belly button and going towards the left leg, reaching around the leg so that the crook of the arm is around the knee. Twisting belly button, ribs, chest, shoulders, neck, head. Using the back hand for gentle support only. As we sit here, taking a deep inhale. And as we exhale, perhaps settling into this pose a little bit deeper, twisting, starting from the belly button one more time. Inhaling as we lift up. Exhaling, twisting back to center, switching sides. Left leg out this time, right sole of the foot in line with the knee. Sitting tall, inhaling, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, twisting towards the right knee. Starting the twist from the belly button and then working our way all the way up so that we keep that spine nice and healthy and in proper alignment. On the inhale, let's lift. Exhaling, perhaps twisting into this pose a little bit deeper. Taking care to not lean into the back hand, still sitting nice and tall. Taking an inhale, on the exhale, twisting back to center one more time. Grabbing behind our legs and gently rolling ourselves onto our backs for our final relaxation. If you find that you have sensitivity in your lower back, feel free to just place your knees towards each other. Otherwise, extending the legs out for traditional final relaxation, also called Shavasana traditionally. Placing our arms out to our sides, palms facing up. Let's walk those shoulders under so that we can create space in the heart and the lungs. Letting the toes drop to either side, letting the knees relax, letting the inner thighs drop open. Releasing any tension from the hips, glutes, lower back. Letting the shoulders melt into your mat. Feeling the tops of the arms, the elbows, the backs of our hands connecting with the earth. Feeling the eyes heavy, the tongue heavy, eyes closed. Taking a deep breath. Letting the mouth slightly open, releasing any tension from your face, your jaw, the nose. Taking another inhale. Releasing anything that's holding you back. Opening the heart.
letting the throat soften, the belly soften. Taking 1 or 2 minutes here to simply enjoy the energy and heat that we've created so far today. Once those few minutes are up, I will bring you back. Let's begin. Bringing our attention back to the room, to the sound of my voice, perhaps rubbing the fingertips together, wiggling the toes, maybe making circles with the wrists and ankles in one direction and then the next. Bringing knees to chest, grabbing behind the knees, opening the knees wide, gently rocking side to side. And finally rolling ourselves onto the side and bringing ourselves back to a seated position for easy seated pose. Taking our hands out in front of us and let's rub them fast, keeping that heat and energy that we've just created throughout our practice. And then releasing, bringing fingertips together, feeling the energy that that has brought into your body. And placing our hands to our heart to end today's practice, I wish you the most fantastic and amazing day. Go forward and be the best that you can be. Namaste.